Awesome, welcome. It's so lovely to see so many happy faces. I'm very excited about this evening. And it is now 7:30. And at this point, I would love to hand over to the legendary Frankie Armstrong to host this evening's proceedings. Frankie, hello.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you for doing your Wonder Woman work for the technology for this. I'm Frankie Armstrong, and I'm introducing everyone this evening for this benefit concert for Musicians for Peace and Disarmament. And don't we need some peace and disarmament? And just to give you an overview of the evening, as I say, I'm just going to start with a little introduction, and then we have Peggy Seeger, a legend. Well, you call me a legend. Peggy's a real legend. Peggy, then Jim Woodland, friend from Yorkshire. Then we'll have a short talk from the chair of the MPD, Tony Lamb, about the nature of the organisation, its past and hopefully its future. Then we have Davies and daughters, Sally Davies, wonderful arranger, composer and singer, and her daughters. And to finish, the Commoners, the unique Commoners Choir. So to start, I am actually going to sing a song of Peggy's, which she's said she's happy for me to start. It's a short song, but it addresses so many of the issues that we face at this moment. So I thought it would be it's the only thing I'm going to sing. So I thought it would be a very suitable introduction, both for the evening and for Peggy, though I'll say more about Peggy before I invite her to join us. And I'm going to have my partner and techie helper, Darian Pritchard, who's going to play the shruti. This song, it has a line that I shall invite everybody by waving you in, as it were, to repeat when I sing the title line, How I Long for Peace. How I long for peace amongst the peoples and the nations. How I long to halt the plunder of the wonders of creation. Oh, how I long for peace. Oh, how I long for peace. I cannot understand how the sisters, wives and mothers cannot stop the slaughter of their husbands, sons and brothers. Oh, how I long for peace. Oh, how
I long for peace.
There never can be peace until men abandon fighting as a way of solving problems that prevent us from uniting. Oh, how I long for peace. Oh, how I long for peace. The profits made from war, there are few that can resist them. Hypocrisy and greed control the lifeblood of our system. How I long for peace. Oh, how I long for peace. The earth can wait no longer for political permission. Sit down, disrupt, do anything to make the whole world listen. Oh, how I long for peace. Oh, how
I long for peace.
yes, how we long for peace. Yes, how we long for peace. Oh, how we long for peace. So thank you, Peggy, for having written that wonderful song, along with so many other phenomenal songs you've written and sung to us and shared your struggles. And oh, Peggy, I mean, I see Peggy as a friend, a colleague, an enormous inspiration,
Ditto, 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 ditto.
unquenchable spirit. So over to you, Peggy.
Okay, well, you've asked me to take a spot of 3 or 4 songs. So being who I am, I chose 4. So I've kind of put them into periods of development. The first song I wrote that I was pleased with, completely original song, was called The Ballad of Spring Hill. But this one, and I wrote that one in 1959, but this one, I adapted an American gospel song, There's Better Things for You. And the idea was that there were better things for you that God can do for you, that your friends can't do for you. Well, I'm an atheist. I'm also agnostic. I also love nature, so I have all the gods I need. So I remade this at the time for the Aldermaston March. And it's good of you who are younger than, say, 50 might want to Google the Aldermaston March. It was incredible. So this was one that had a chorus that people could sing easily. And I used the format, and some of the little parts of it, I adapted it. And then I added another verse on for 2015. It's called There's Better Things to Do. Kind friends, I want to warn you, because I love us all. No doubt you read your papers, but the half can never be told. Politicians will try and fool you and get you to agree to below this world to glory and end humanity. But there's better things to do than blow this world in two. You could live into your old age, and your kids would be normal too. There's better things for you that all on earth must do. You gotta pledge your feet on the road to see peace and see your journey through. Now some folks think that danger can't reach our peaceful shore. They must see planes and soldiers before they call it war. Kind friends, I will remind you, the atom's very small. It can blow us all to glory, and you can't see it at all. But there's better things to do than blow this world in two. You could live into your old age, and your kids to be normal too. There's better things for you that all on earth must do. You gotta pledge your feet on the road to peace and see your journey through. Now some folks, they are holy. In the Bible it is told that judgment comes tomorrow. So today pray for your soul, friends, that is not sufficient. Tomorrow is today. They'll blow us all to glory while we just sit and pray. or while we just sit and make up a new verse in 2015. Now we could house the homeless, we could feed the poor, get the NHS out of this mess. We could do a whole lot more than that. We could mend our broken systems, help the country to go green. If we didn't spend billions on nuclear bombs and a nuclear submarine, there's better things to do than blow this world in two. You could live into your old age, and your kids would be normal too. There's better things for you that all on earth must do. Gotta pledge your feet on the road to peace and see your journey through. You pledge your feet on the road to peace and see your journey through. It's possible that the gospel singers who sang the version that I took that from would be horrified at being turned into an anti-bomb song. I chose anti-bomb songs to show a kind of a development in songwriting. The songs are very different from each other. And the second one is called If You Want the Bomb. Back in the 1980s, I got really aware of the relationship between nuclear power and the nuclear bomb, because the nuclear bomb needed plutonium, and plutonium doesn't occur naturally in the earth, excepting in very small amounts of a form of plutonium that's not very usable for bombs. You know, if it's not usable by us, it's worthless. So the place that they got their plutonium from is nuclear power stations. And at the time, it seemed a very dangerous thing to do, to make a nuclear power station. And we were keen on keeping the oil, gas, and coal mines and things going. So I wrote a rather flip little song called If You Want the Bomb. And I'm playing the piano for this because I feel it's kind of like a little nursery song. If you want the bomb, one of your very own, not the ordinary kind, but one made of plutonium, you got to have a place, a kind of power station. It's the only place plutonium's made. If you want the bomb, build a station that is nuclear. Johnny Doe will foot the bill. The cost is quite spectacular. When atoms work for peace, electricity bills increase. But it's the only way plutonium's made. If you want the bomb, turn your lights on with uranium. How to explain away the cost is straining many a cranium. Shut down the plants that toil on gas and coal and oil, then you'll have to get plutonium made. If you want the bomb, say goodbye to civil liberties. Atoms ain't compatible with freedom and democracy, 'cause unions and the like are apt to go on strike just when you want to get plutonium made. If you want the bomb, don't expect to have the niceties. Hospitals and schools and things and people's paradiseties. Kick justice up the ass, put freedom out to grass, but at least you'll get plutonium made. On the other hand, if we really get the bomb, we won't need no amenities. Health care for corpses is somewhat of an obscenity. So the Tories may be right, cutting everything in sight, except the way plutonium's made. That's what I call a too clever song. It was a credo. It was a political argument, because people didn't realize just how important nuclear power is to nuclear bombs. Between 1956, when I wrote the first one, There's Better Things, I didn't do much about writing about nuclear power, nuclear bombs, or anything like that in the 60s and the 70s. But in the 80s, I was very aware of the nuclear waste that was chugging through our local railway station every day on its way up to Windscale, where it would be recycled or buried. And I got really worried about that. So my friend Irene and I, we started a group called BANG, Beckenham Anti-Nuclear Group, where we trained ourselves to think about nuclear power. And I started going to Greenham Common, and I was arrested at one point and decided to write a song that I would sing at my trial. There were two judges who were judging the ones of us who got arrested at a Greenham demonstration. Actually, it wasn't at Greenham, it was actually in front of Westminster that I was arrested. And that's a story on its own. So I started that. I thought I'd sing a song when I was in the dock. I mean, how naive can you get? And I thought the judge would actually let me reach verse 4, where I sing to the judge and say, well, surely aren't you worried about all of this? He let me get through 2 lines and sent me down for contempt of court. So this is my song called Tomorrow, because I lived and died fear from the moment I started studying what a nuclear bomb actually does and what a nuclear station actually does if it blows up. Just a second, let me just get myself orientated here. This is called Tomorrow. I know where my pleasures lie, for pleasures I have many, hopes and dreams that carry me through daily care and worry. But every pleasure's touched with grief, every hope blighted with sorrow. Nightmare overtakes the dream, I fear I've lost tomorrow. There it is deep in my mind when I wake in the morning. I'm waiting, trembling, listening for the dread 4-minute warning. When I watch the children play and only see annihilation, then I know fear has now become a normal part of living. Nature trains us to survive, protect our children's children. We break the first of human laws, preparing now to kill them. Peace is what they say we have. It feels more like a poisoned arrow, pointing at our deepest dream, the promise of tomorrow. You know where your pleasures lie. Will you have time to use them? Hopes and dreams are empty joys if we're prepared to lose them. You who sit and shake your head and judge us that we act in error, ask yourself deep in your heart, do you too live in terror? My spirit's dying day by day, murdered by warmongers. That is why I'm here, for I can't bear it any longer. I'm not here to waste my time. I'm not here to beg or borrow. I'm here to demand what's mine. I've come to claim tomorrow. so many of us wrote really gloomy songs, apocalyptic songs. And in a way, I think the time for that is done. We all realize what's coming, or if we don't, we have an easy way of finding out. Just read read the papers and use your common sense. So this was a more hopeful song because I found when I first went to Greenham Common, the action of nothing but women, a complete group of, actually there were men at the beginning. There were men who came and lived in that big tent, that huge tent that was supplied by some angels somewhere, but I don't know who it was. But the men just lay around. They didn't do the work unless it was manly work of going out and getting firewood. They wouldn't wash the dishes and they didn't cook. And so we kicked them out, and it became a women's camp. But the first day I went down there, I spent most of it dishwashing and just listening to what was going on. And I went home so energized because everybody was talking about take the message of Greenham, take it home with you. So that's what I did. I went home with this song in my head. It's called Carry Greenham Home. Hand in hand the line extends all around the 9-mile fence. 30,000 women chant, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, near home and far away. Carry Greenham home. Singing voices rising higher, weave a dove into the wire. In our hearts a blazing fire, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, near home and far away. Carry Greenham home. The history of Greenham Common: before the Second World War, it was common land. And then they put the longest runway in Europe on it and put fences around it. And our American cousins came and deposited themselves. They were supposed to go home, but they didn't. The government was supposed to return the land to common land. They didn't. It was only the work of the women, the ones who stayed for, I think, about 20 years until finally it's been returned to common land. But we sat there, and we sat there, and we sat there. Here we sit, here we stand, here we claim the common land. Nuclear arms shall not command, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, near home and far away. Carry Greenham home. Singing voices sing again, to the children, to the men. From the channel to the glens, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, near home and far away. Carry Greenham home. All kinds of women came. Some of them came in high heels, some of them came to stay, some didn't. I never stayed for more than 3 days, but I used to sit on night watch so that the women who sat on day watch could get a rest. And that was something. When we first went to Greenham Common, it was a picket fence. A picket fence all the way around, the longest runway in Europe. Well, it was easy to get through that, so then they put up a wire fence. That was the one we wove peace doves in on the 9-mile perimeter. So when we found our way to get through those, with secateurs, you could practically get through it. Then they put barbed wire fence on the top of it. And then they put a runway all around the inside with soldiers marching between the 9 gates. And And then they put another fence on the other side of the walkway that the soldiers were on. Huh. We still got over it. He put a mattress up on top of the barbed wire, and at one point they did that, and they actually filmed themselves, the mattress and going over, and they had a teddy bear picnic in Greenham Common with the longest runway in Europe. Not the nightmare, not the scream. I think I've done that verse. Singing voices, I think I've done that one too. Not the nightmare, not the scream, just the loving human dream of peace. The ever-flowing stream, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, near home and far away. Carry Greenham home. A good verse is worth singing twice. Woman tiger, woman dove, help to save the world we love. Velvet fist in iron glove, bring the message home. Carry Greenham home, yes, near home and far away. Carry Greenham home. Carry Greenham home, yes, near home and far away. Carry Greenham home. So that's my contribution today, and we're moving on in how we deal with the problems, and they're more than problems, they're life-threatening issues. And I think it's important now to acknowledge as women, I know this is not a women's program, but with Greenham Common, there was not a dislike of men. It's just that men were not helpful in what we were trying to do. They sprang too easily to confrontation and aggression and battling with the police, whereas us women, we dealt with the police very, very differently. So I think it's important these days not to talk about problems that men have. I think we should talk about the patriarchy, that we live in a society whose main aspect, whose main feature of the male dynamic is one of aggression and violence, and that women would run things differently. I'm not sure that we would have ever designed a bomb and dropped it on a city of 100,000 as women. I don't feel that we would have done that. So woman power, let's think about it, and all the men who are helping with woman power, power to you. And thank you for giving me this platform, Suella and Frankie. And let's turn over to the next lot. I think that's about my 20 minutes.
Thank you so much, Peggy.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. That was such a trip through so many issues, and that very last issue actually makes a really good introduction for our next performer, because, well, first of all, Jim Woodland should have been with us at the last MPD concert that I organised, but sadly he got COVID, and that was really sad. So it was great that I was in a position to invite him again and he could come tonight. And the reason why Peggy's statements at the end seems appropriate is because first time I met Jim, we did some singing together, was back in the 1970s, and we actually put out a little single, I can't even remember what you call it, a little vinyl, tiny little thing, with 2 songs for a woman's right to choose campaign that we were part of. So one of my songs called We Must Choose, and Jim, I don't know if you can remember yours, but Jim had written a song for the same cause, and after Roe versus Wade, my golly, that issue is back in the headline. So Jim is a playwright, a songwriter, a singer, and it's a delight to pass over to you, Jim.
Thank you, Frankie. I'm just checking that I can be heard. Yes, whoa, miracles. And yeah, well, I'm getting a nice complex screen here, but I'm going to ignore most of it. And yeah, and thank you to Peggy and Frankie for setting that up, and lovely statements about hope, I think, from Peggy. Let's see what I come up with, shall we? I've tried to put into some variety, given that we've got quite a short spot. This is called You Can Dance. It's kind of hopeful, isn't it? When you're young, you're full of fun. They start to wear you down. The brass band plays, you're on your way, and they march you round and round. We play musical chairs, 50 years, your feet don't touch the ground. The music stops, you're out of a job, and they tell you to sit down. You should stand up now and sing a song, song, song. And if I fail and if I fall, you can do one more thing when I'm gone. You can dance, oh you can dance, there's a world to save. You dance around my grave. Everybody can sing a song and everybody can dance, but they tell you, well, you're doing it wrong, you never really get the chance. We let the pipe call the tune, the people who pay the fee, and we dance like children down the lane, living in a land of dreams. You should sing songs you need and wake up soon, soon, soon. And if I fail and if I fall, you can tell the tale and play the tune. And you can dance, oh you can dance, there's a world to save. You dance around my grave, but the aristocrats and the bureaucrats will tell you where to stand. Aristocrats and bowler hats will come and conduct the band. And if I thought that when I die they dance around my grave, I'd bury myself in the ocean, they could dance into the waves. Just sing songs you love, make it strong, strong, strong. You can be the band tonight, you can be the singer and the song, 'cause you can dance, oh you can dance, there's a world to save. You dance around my grave, so you can sing, you can dance, you can fly around the floor. And when the lights go down tonight, well you can do one more and sing songs of peace and make it loud, loud, loud. And when you see my friends together, maybe you see my face there in the crowd. And you can dance, yes you can dance, there's a world to save. Dance around my grave and just sing songs of peace and make it loud, loud, loud. And when you see my friends together, maybe you see my face there in the crowd. And you can dance, oh you can dance, there's a world to save. Dance around my grave, oh you can dance, yes you can dance. And you can dance, there's a world to save. You dance around my grave, you can dance. Lovely. The silent people waving their arms, it's great, isn't it? Oh, I've played to silent audiences before. I've got a pal who always says silent audiences are absolutely lovely as long as they're not moving towards you. And it's one of the joys of Zoom, isn't it, that audiences can't do that even if they want to. Some years ago I heard Maggie Boyle sing a song about an orphanage and a laundry in Ireland, and people keep telling me what the title of it was and I keep forgetting, but I put this idea of a laundry in my in my imagination, I thought, I want to write a song one day about a laundry. I mean, if you're talking about something where disreputable acts are taking place, where you want to somehow clean up the filth, a laundry would be a very good place to have for a cover-up. I think you'll see why I suddenly got excited and thought, I'm going to write a song about a laundry. The Westminster Laundry is open for business, laundering money by night and by day. From pockets of poverty, wardrobes of wealth are soon filled. When the bill comes, the poor have to pay. That's the chorus, sort of. In the Westminster Laundry, the bubbles are rising. Hot air is endless, inflation non-stop. Soft soap and hot water, a drip drop of lies, and a rumble like thunder when bubbles go pop. And the Westminster Laundry is open for business, laundering money by night and by day. From pockets of poverty, wardrobes of wealth are soon filled. When the bill comes, the poor have to pay. In the swirl of the washing machine, you see traces, hope and equality spinning in vain. The stench and the stink and the skid marks of history, dregs of democracy swilled down the drain. When the Westminster Laundry is open for business, laundering money by night and by day. From pockets of poverty, wardrobes of wealth are soon filled. When the bill comes, the poor have to pay. From the rumbling, tumbling laundry, the remnants of work and community are taken outside. The tracks and the traces of guilt and of innocence, rags of resistance hung out to dry. When the Westminster Laundry is open for business, the laundering money by night and by day. From pockets of poverty, wardrobes of wealth are soon filled. When the bill comes, the poor have to pay. Then the presses run hot on the creases and spots where colours are running on fabrics of lies. Sad rags, glad rags, quilts of confusion, refining, ironing out alibis. And the Westminster Laundry is open for business, laundering money by night and by day. From pockets of poverty, wardrobes of wealth are soon filled. When the bill comes, the poor have to pay. And the Westminster Laundry is open for business, laundering money by night and by day. From pockets of poverty, wardrobes of wealth are soon filled. When the bill comes, the poor have to pay. The Westminster Laundry is open for business, laundering money by night and by day. Westminster Laundry. Now, following as many of us have followed the war in Ukraine, etc., there's this one, and this will touch on a topic that Peggy raised about nuclear power, about the Zaporizhia, the Zaporizhia, I can't pronounce it properly, nuclear power station, where there was a pitched battle going on between the Russian army and the Ukrainian army all around it. And there was, for a while, there was this anxiety that it might end up like Chernobyl, which would be something of an existential crisis for the rest of Europe, for the climate, and indeed for the world. With the, you know, who knew what was going to happen? And I was very impressed by the Westminster bunch when sometime later they got themselves organised and made a statement about nuclear power, in which they decided that the best thing to do would be to build 5 brand new nuclear power stations in your backyard. Everyone, we all get one, particularly one on the south coast, which they're going to name Fukushima sur la mer. They're going to do that in this country, and that's how they get rid of what they refer to as all this green crap. Nuclear power stations are there because they can produce nuclear bombs with the stuff that comes out of them. Let's remember that. But the interesting thing is, they contacted me before this performance and they said, Jim, you're going to be doing this, so would you deliver a message to everybody this evening on behalf of the government about our nuclear programme? And I said, yes, I would jolly well do that. And they said, we'll get our spokesman to come in and explain it to everybody in the audience. And here he is. He wants to say, accidents never happen, and even when they do, they only ever happen in Russia, and they never happen to you. And even when they happen, they're so far away. There's never any danger, 'cause the wind never blows this way. And even when it does, the poison can't survive long enough to get here. And even when it arrives, well, it isn't really here at all. It's more like somewhere else. It's sort of over there, in fact, as far as you can tell, 'cause accidents never happen, and even when they do, they only ever happen in Russia, and they never happen to you. And when the poison gets here, well, it's just a false alarm. And even if it isn't, it does no one any harm. And the harm it doesn't show them doesn't show for quite some time. So for the time it doesn't show up in, it's harmless. Get it? Fine. Accidents never happen, even when they do. They only ever happen in Russia, and they never happen to you. And when the harm has happened, well, it's no cause for the fuss, 'cause it won't show up for years, if ever. And even when it does, well, the numbers who will really die is statistically very small. It's only 1 death per person. Now that's hardly death at all. Come on now, accidents never happen, and even when they do, they only ever happen in Russia, and they never happen to you. And even when the deaths begin, statistics show us still that for everyone who won't survive, there'll be 1 or 2 who will. So accidents never happen, and even when they do, there's a very small chance, statistically speaking, that you'll be a victim. And who gives a shit about you? Well, we all do here tonight, don't we? For sure. I need a drink. Water. Now, I was listening to what Peggy said about this being a time for hope. And I'm going to do 3 numbers now, and I'm going to just whip through them. The first two, I felt we had to say something about war tonight, and I agree, it is a time for hope. We really need to be joining together and pulling together and moving forward at this time. But you'll see where I'm going with this, and so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for you first. During the Falklands War, and because Maggie Thatcher has been quoted here, there and everywhere, I wrote a song about the Falklands War, and I'm going to sing it to you in a moment. And I had death threats for this. This was, you know, way back then, before it was fashionable to get death threats. I had people who offered to kill me, singing it at gigs. I had people in the families of people who'd been sent and died in the Falklands battles, thanking me for writing it. Of course, of course. So this is the song, and it's followed then, by a second song poem about it all. Based on the fact that during lockdown, during which time I had COVID, we had 2 memorial services about the wars from the cenotaph, you know, during those years, both of which I thought were nauseating and missed the point completely. Here it is. I've come here tonight to tell you what all of us should know. I was murdered in the Falklands, well, I knew I shouldn't go. And when you tell the stories of why I died and how, don't say you never met my ghost, you're looking at it now. And I've walked back over the water just to take a look around. I can see nothing's altered since the day I went down. The old are not defended and the young don't get a start. The rich get rich and richer, it's enough to break your heart. Oh, I slammed the doors in Downing Street, enough to raise the dead. Well, if I really died in vain, something should be said. One night I raised the living, and she told me why I died. She scared me so I had to go, I didn't sleep that night. 'Cause the things I died defending were the things I valued least. You tell me, am I a ghost of war? Am I a ghost of peace? And when you fight for freedom, be careful and be sure. Did I die defending freedom? Did I die defending war? We sailed into St. Carlos in the middle of a raid, and my friend Charlie shot himself 'cause he was so afraid. The oil on the water was smoking like a town. I was burned in the water, trying not to drown. Oh, but you don't believe I am a ghost. I can see that in your eyes. Do you think ghosts just scream and rattle chains all through the night? I left the chains that bind us where I left the rest of me. It was chains took me down in the South Atlantic Sea. There were chains made of money, the best you can buy. Chains made of newspapers, there were chains made of lies. Chains of employment, chains on the dole, and if they could, I'm sure they would put chains around my soul. So I've come here tonight to show you what all of you should see. I think you should be frightened, yes, but don't be scared of me. I'm going to say goodbye to England, the land that wasted me. I'm going back to the Malvinas before I start to scream. We gather here one day each year. Forgetful Friday comes. We sing the song, we bang the gong, we beat the drum, we march along, we chant the sermons on and on, lest we remember. Forgetful Friday suits us well, 'cause how can you recall the sounds of the millions as they fall and fall and fall? Do they cry out like a choir? Do they scream in harmony? Do they preach and speechify in poems of democracy? Do they call out your name, you who now claim to recall the ghosts of a memory remembered not at all? We sing the song, we bang the gong, we beat the drum, we march along, the sermons prattle on and on, lest we remember. Oh, we say lest we forget as our preachers roll the dice, praying for forgiveness from the ones who paid the price. But how can you remember a song you never heard? How can you tell a story when no one knows the words? We sing the song, we bang the gong, we beat the drum, we march along, the sermons prattle on and on. Lest we remember. The dead arrive. They sit in rows down at the back where no one goes. Their songs are sung in silence. Their dance is cold and still. The stories make no sense at all. They never did, they never will. So how can you hold a memory too painful to behold? How can you tell a story that's refusing to be told? No poppies in the trenches, no wreaths around their heads. The man to play the last post was already dead. We sing the song, we bang the gong, we beat the drum, we march along. The sermons prattle on and on, lest we remember. No medals on their hearts to ricochet the lead. No kings and queens and princes dying in their stead. No bankers there to pay the price. No credit to withdraw. No laurel leaves around their hearts to staunch the bloody war. No springtime of the soul to melt the winter's ice. It'll all be over by Christmas. Right. Is that what they told Christ? We sing the song, we bang the gong, we beat the drum, we march along. The sermons prattle on and on and on, lest we remember. Lest we remember. Remember. That was Ghost Story and Lest We Remember. Written round about the time this was a song of hope. One night I saw an endless wall as high as the eye can see. A wall of false and ignorance with little hope for peace. The Pope and the President, the soldier and the priest. No, while we stand divided, we will never be released. Till we take another brick, we take a brick and take another brick, we take another brick from the wall. And every time you hold out hand, we take another brick from the wall. Don't listen to the history they teach us in our schools. It's the history of maniacs, the history of fools. The story of the people and the future of us all is every time we hold out a hand, we take another brick from the wall. And we take another brick, we take a brick and take another brick, we take another brick from the wall. And every time you hold out a hand, you take another brick from the wall. From the Gaza Strip to Mexico, from Mecca to Rome, walls are made of broken hearts where hearts are made of stone. The walls that divide us start deep inside us all. And every time we hold out a hand, we take another brick from the wall. We should take another brick, we take a brick and take another brick and take another brick from the wall. And every time we hold out a hand, we take another brick from the wall. One night I saw an endless wall as high as the eye could see. A wall of hate and ignorance with little hope for peace. The heroes and the villains standing eyeball to eyeball. And every time we hold out a hand, we take another brick from the wall. We should take another brick, we take a brick and take another brick, take another brick from the wall. And every time we hold out a hand, take another brick from the wall. Then we take another brick, we take a brick and take another brick and take another brick from the wall. And every time we hold out a hand, we take another brick from the wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank
Wow.
you, Frankie.
your ability to write things that slice right through to the essence of the
Thank
issue.
you.
Thank you so much.
Coming from you, that's special. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce everybody to Tony Lamb, who is the chair of MPD, Musicians for Peace and Disarmament. So, Tony, are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Hello.
Hello. So I'm up to you. What do you think a little about the past and maybe hopes for the future?
Well, yes. First of all, I must say thank you to everyone who's performed so far. Absolutely wonderful performances, really moving and thoughtful and everything they should be, really. You know, it's really inspiring. Thank you. Just to give you an idea of how we started as MANA, Musicians Against Nuclear Arms, back in 1983. I can't believe we've almost been going 40 years now. We never thought that would happen. We never thought that would be necessary, I have to say. But unfortunately, it certainly has. I suppose we started off, a few of us, sort of 4 or 5 of us, we heard about a previous organization called Musicians Organization for Peace, which whose president was Sir Adrian Boult. And I don't really know how active they were or what they got up to, but they existed in the 1950s, and obviously a lot of musicians cared a lot about peace at that time, and then they must have fizzled out for some reason. Anyway, we got started in 1983. The immediate spur to that, of course, was Greenham. I think a lot of people were realizing what was going on and beginning to get involved in the peace movement, in the anti-nuclear movement and so on. And we thought we could do something as musicians to help. And I suppose really there are 3 ways in which our concerts, I hope, help peace in different ways. First of all, the music itself is very inspiring. And I mean, to make music means to get together with people and collaborate, and that itself is a sort of peaceful activity. Also, the concerts I hope, raised awareness among the general public. The items tonight were all fairly political, with wonderful words conveying what the thoughts are. But a lot of our concerts have been purely classical concerts with chamber music or orchestral concerts, that sort of thing. But we always try to have a speaker at those concerts. We've had all sorts of well-known people speaking for us, starting way back with Donald Soper, if you remember him. We've had Tony Benn spoke quite frequently, Jeremy Corbyn, Kate Hudson has spoken, Caroline Lucas, all sorts of people. Bruce Kent, of course, many times. And I think the speeches they've made have linked the music to the more general political issues, really. So it's not just a concert; it's a concert for a particular purpose. And of course, this concert tonight, people have spoken as well as performing, but the message has come through immediately with the words anyway. And the other way we've been able to help the peace movement is raising money, of course. Now, all the performers at all of our concerts always play, sing, whatever they do, for free, for no money. And they're very happy to do that because, of course, they very much support what we're doing. And I don't know what the exact figure is now, but over the years, we've raised a huge amount of money, which we donate to various peace organizations. C&D has been the recipient of a lot of the money, CAT, all sorts of, probably 30 or 40 different organizations over the years have received money from us. And I think we're lucky in being in a position to do this, to raise money as musicians, which a lot of other professions, they can't really do that so easily. So anyway, that's a sort of brief description, I suppose, of what we do. and how we got going.
And thoughts for the future, Tony?
Well,
keep going, I guess.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what can we do? You know, I mean, as long as the world situation is as it is, we have no choice. You know, and one of the things I should say, which has really pleased us a lot, is that we have, as you know, we have about sort of 23 or 4 patrons, of which you and Peggy are 2. When patrons take part, it's a wonderful thing. We're so grateful for that. Another patron who's played quite a lot for us is Wissam Bustani, the wonderful flautist, who is an incredible figure for peace. But it's not just patrons, you know, I think in all the years I've asked people if they'd be prepared to perform for Mana MPD. I think only a single musician has said he didn't really believe in what we're doing and didn't want to play. But there must be hundreds and hundreds who have readily agreed. So that says something, I hope, about the future.
Oh, well, thanks very much for filling us in, telling us that. And absolutely, just, I think particularly over the COVID period, I don't know about you, but music has been just so central.
Oh, and we were so lucky to have the opportunity for online streaming and Zoom and so on, which kept us going, really, didn't it, during all of that? Yeah.
So, oh, well, and we'll make sure people know about your future concerts. Sometimes I go to classical concerts. And
yes, well, we have a couple coming up next year. A chamber concert and an orchestra concert in April and May, and we're always thinking what we can do next. But I mean, thank you again, Frankie. You've been absolutely wonderful for all the work you've done in organising these concerts with your friends.
It's been a pleasure, Tony, and so I know you'll be you give an enormous treat by our next performers, Davies and Daughters. This is Sally Davies, who I've known for years because we're both very involved with the Natural Voice Network. Sally ran the Cecil Sharp English Folk Dance Song Society choir for about 10 years. She now has another choir. Oh, it's got such a witty name and I've forgotten it.
Wing It.
Oh, the Wing It choir. Yes, I think that's wonderful. And with her now sing her daughters, Whalley and Flo, and I haven't heard the 3 of them together. I love Sally's arrangements. And so I was privileged to be asked to write the foreword for her book of her arrangements of folk songs. So I know we're in for an absolute treat. Over to you, Sally and Daughters.
Thank you, Frankie. We are delighted to be here with you all tonight. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. We're delighted to be singing for this organisation and singing to raise awareness of the vital necessity of moving towards global peace. Of course, to alleviate the human suffering caused by other humans, but it's also for us very linked, and for everybody very linked, that we sing to enable the survival of our planet. So I'm wondering when it was that Bruce Kent had the speaking slot, the wonderful Bruce Kent, on a concert. He was talking and he was saying he thought that the peace movements, this one and CND and other peace movements, had made some progress. And he said, for instance, we were on the cusp of seeing the signing of a UN treaty making nuclear weapons illegal. He said it just needed 10 more countries to sign it. And here we are now, listening to talk of nuclear weapons actually being used. I'm sure Bruce would have been here. If he'd been here, he would have had something hopeful and optimistic to say along the lines of, well, we must keep on carrying on, which we must. And we think we've probably got a lot of singing to do. Whalley's going to introduce our song, our first song.
We're going to sing 4 songs
4 very different songs, and not all in English either. We'll tell you about them as we go. The first song is called Restore Our Earth, and it was written by Sally last year for Earth Day. And we recorded it in a beautiful piece of woodland and made a film, which if you like it and you want to hear it again, you can find on YouTube. Of course, we think, as I'm sure you do, that there should be Earth Day every day. Every day should be Earth Day, as every day should be Peace Day. How can one day a year actually do anything? But we did this anyway for Earth Day. And as Sally just said, you know, the two things, the climate crisis and the crisis of war are inextricably linked. War adds and fuels climate change, and climate change undoubtedly leads to war. So when we as a family vocal trio sing in protest, as we do quite often, when we disrupt Shell's AGM or we disrupt HSBC's AGM in song, as we did earlier this year, or when we sing outside Vanguard, as we will tomorrow, in solidarity with many, many people in America as well who are going to be outside Vanguard's main building there. At the same time, we're going to hold a Quaker meeting space and also sing a song. When we do that, we're singing for peace, peace for human beings, and also peace for our beloved planet Earth. So this is Restore.
So we learnt this next song 2 days after the invasion of Ukraine began. It's a Ukrainian song. We were just so horrified and felt so helpless. We were particularly incensed by Putin's suggestion that Ukraine didn't have a distinctive culture of its own. Well, it certainly has a very distinctive 3-part singing, harmony singing tradition, particularly of women, 3 women's voices singing together. So we felt we wanted to sing one of these songs at that point, and we have sung it quite a lot since, as a gesture of musical solidarity with them. And we posted it on our Instagram page, and we found, somewhat to our surprise actually, that it was winging its way, I like this word, winging its way around the world. And one of the very nice comments that we got from somewhere between here and Ukraine sort of said it all, I think. It said, she said, "Let our voices unite in harmony and grow friendships across borders." Of course, Russia has a fantastic singing tradition as well. And when we're doing longer gigs than this one, we like to put a Russian folk song into the set too. This is a song of hospitality. Ukraine has a very strong culture of hospitality and a brilliant cuisine to go with it. And this is a song that would be sung by the host to an honoured guest, and whilst offering them rye bread for hospitality and salt for friendship.
Ой, зелене жито зелене, хороші гості у мене, зелене є жито женці жнуть, хороші гості мене ждуть. Зелене є жито женці жнуть, хороші гості мене ждуть. Ой, зелене жито зелене, хороші гості у мене, зелене є жито при межі, хороші гості від душі, зелене є жито при межі, хороші гості від душі. Ой, зелене жито зелене, хороші гості у мене, зелене є жито женці жнуть, хороші гості мене ждуть, зелене є жито женці жнуть, хороші гості мене ждуть. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next is Colour. Okay. This is a song written by a friend of Sally's, Karen Winhurst, who you met at Dartington. Did you meet?
Yeah,
her
we
there?
were both teaching at
both teaching at Dartington.
summer school.
A few years ago. And Sally heard this song that she wrote and thought it was so beautiful that she asked if she could arrange it into 3-part harmony, and Karen very kindly said that she could. It's a beautiful song. It was inspired by a question that Karen's son Aaron asked. A beautifully poetic question for a child to ask, which was, what is the colour of the wind? And out of that thread, Karen spun an entire song, which is beautiful and weaves themes of nature in throughout. And we love it.
Yes.
We love your arrangement of it.
Thank you, Don. She gives many answers, many different answers to what is the colour of the wind.
My child said to me, what is the colour of the wind? I said, the colour of your honeyed hair, the colour of the warmth of your hand footstep on the stair. My child said to me, what is the colour of the wind? I said, sometimes pale and sometimes dark. It cuts across the cornfields and gathers into dust, and slowly makes its tracks within the heart. My child said to me, what is the colour of the wind? I said, it whispers like the white of bone, hollow like a bell that disappears to air, leaving you in silence and alone. My child said to me, what is the colour of the wind? I said, it holds the voice of all that scream. It snatches at the seedlings and leads them into earth, bringing into life all that's unseen. My child said to me, what is the colour of the wind? I said, I've seen it in the red of blood. It's shone inside a tear, and I've held it in your smile, and I've laid it on the table with my love, and I've laid it at your table with my love.
So now we're going to sing an English folk song.
Yeah. We're going to finish with The Cabin Boy. There are lots of songs from island nations about going to sea, and a lot of those songs, unfortunately, are about going to war at sea, but not this one. We don't like to sing about going to war at sea. And this is not about men going to sea either. This is about a woman who dresses up as a boy to get herself on a boat and to have an adventure. And she has much more of an adventure than maybe she was expecting to. This is quite an unusual story, and see if you can work out exactly what's happening.
"'Tis of a pretty female, as you shall understand. Her mind was set on roving unto some foreign land. Attired in sailor's clothing, she boldly did appear, and engaged with a captain to serve him for 1 year. She engaged with a cabin boy to be. The wind stood fine and clearly, and so they put to sea. The captain's lady being on board, she seemed for to enjoy. So glad the captain had engaged a handsome cabin boy. So nimble was this pretty maid, she did her duty well. But mark what follows after, the song it soon will tell. By eating of the captain's biscuits her colour did destroy, and the wasted swell of pretty Nell, the handsome cabin boy. As through the Bay of Biscay our gallant ship did plough, one night among the sailors there was a pretty row. They bundled from their hammocks
which did their rest destroy. And they swore about the groaning of the handsome cabin boy. Oh doctor, the cabin boy did cry. The sailors swore by all and one the cabin boy would die. The doctor ran with all his might, smiling at the fun, to think a sailor lad could have a daughter or a son. Now when the sailors heard the joke, they all began to stare. The child belonged to none of them, they solemnly declared. The lady to the captain said, "My lad, I wish you joy. For it's either you or I betrayed the handsome cabin boy." Thank you very much.
That's it from us.
That's it from us.
Yay, thank you so much.
So much. Sally and Davies and daughters. Just so beautiful and powerful, and just the way your voices work together is so.
Thank you.
Right. Oh, Frankie's muted.
Oh, Frankie's muted.
Now we go to Leeds and to meet the unique Commoners Choir. They say about themselves that they're a strange, open, inclusive choir, but really they're more like a musical gang. So, and they create their own material. We're just about to enjoy the Commoners Choir. Take it away.
1, 2, 3. Side by side and hand in hand, walk with me, we're 1,000,000 strong and we'll take the land. Walk with me, no gods or masters, just ourselves. Walk with me, common land and commonwealth. Walk with me, walk with me, walk with me, walk with me. The past is yours and the future's ours. Walk with me, people singing truth to power. Walk with me, out of the avenues onto the streets. Walk with me, under the pavement down to the beach. Walk with me, walk with me, walk with me, walk with me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Ella. She's going to tell us about the next song.
Hi. So this next song's called Airstrike 123, and it's about three things. Firstly, it's about how the UK government heavily subsidises the arms industry and continues to exert international power by sales of weapons to governments across the world with devastating effect. Secondly, it celebrates 4 women who in 1995 broke into a BAE base and, using hammers, caused £1.5 million worth of damage to a Hawk jet. The Hawk jet was due to be sold to Indonesia, who were using BAE planes to bomb East Timor at the time. Thirdly, Airstrike 123 refers to a game played by Yemeni children, and it's a little bit similar to Grandmother's Footsteps. One of the children simulates an warplane, and has to creep up on the other children. When they get close, they shout Airstrike 123, and all the children have to fall down as if they're dead, and the last child to fall down is out.
We'll have speeches and brochures and handshakes. There'll be no need for boots on the ground. Now that war can be won from a distance, 'cause it's all part of growing the brand. We can whitewash the horror with culture. Our partnership comes cash in hand. We'll have logos and wine in the galleries, 'cause it's all part of growing the brand. It's all part of growing, extant and ongoing. It's all part of growing the brand. No sign of slowing, land or sea going. It's simple supply and demand. And it's all part part of growing the brand. All this subsidised debt can be messy, as we're blasting our lines in the sand. We can call it collateral damage, but it's all part of growing the brand. It's all part of growing, extant and ongoing. It's all part of growing the brand. No sign of slowing, land or sea going. It's simple supply and demand. And it's all part of growing the brand. Who's that knocking on the cockpit door? Someone visited the hardware store. Bang goes the hammer like it's keeping score, and it won't be flying anytime soon. Who's that knocking on the cockpit door? Someone visited the hardware store. Bang goes the hammer like it's keeping score, and it won't be flying anytime soon.
We come in peace.
Who's that knocking on the cockpit
We
door?
come with
Someone visited the
hammers.
hardware
We
store.
flock like
Bang goes the hammer like it's
sparrows
keeping
to
score,
slay a
and it won't be flying anytime
horse.
soon.
We come with
Who's that knocking on the
love,
cockpit
shot
door?
through with
Someone visited the
anger.
hardware store.
Crowbar and
Bang goes the hammer like it's keeping score, and it won't be flying anytime soon.
For the deserters, for the dissenters, for every firebrand who burned so bright before. Destroy and occupy, disarm and pacify, swords into plowshares, unmaking war.
Who's that knocking on the cockpit door? Someone visited the hardware store. Bang goes the hammer like it's keeping score, and it won't be flying anytime soon.
We come in peace.
Who's that knocking on the cockpit
We
door?
come with
Someone visited the hardware
We
store.
come to
Bang goes the hammer like it's
topple
keeping
the
score,
god
and
of
it won't be flying anytime
trade.
soon.
We come with
Who's that knocking on the
hope,
cockpit
shot
door?
through with
Someone visited
fury.
the hardware
We
store.
have the
Bang
future
goes the hammer like it's keeping score,
on
and
our
it won't be flying anytime
side.
soon.
For the deserters, for the dissenters, for every firebrand who burned so bright before. Destroy and occupy, disarm and pacify, swords into plowshares, unmaking war.
Arms out sideways, airstrike 1, 2, 3. Fly formation, airstrike 1, 2, 3.
Playground whisper, airstrike 1, 2, 3. One step, two step, airstrike 1, 2, 3 for the deserters, for the dissenters, for every firebrand who burned so bright before. Destroy and occupy, disarm and pacify, swords into plowshares, unmaking war. Unmaking war.
Thank you very much. Oh, we can see people are clapping. That's good enough. That's nice.
Hi, this next song is called These Are Our Neighbours. It's about an incident that happened in May 2021 in Glasgow. A Home Office deportation van turned up to deport 2 asylum seekers living on the street there. Within minutes, Glasgow Anti-Raids Network had sent out the call and people came out of Zoom meetings, rushing out of their house, some of them not even managing to put on slippers. A large crowd gathered. People lay underneath the van, other people stood around the van so the van couldn't move. In the end, a crowd of 200 people stopped that deportation taking place. Direct action does work. Direct action does get the goods. There's anti-raids networks all over the country. These are our neighbours.
1, 2, 3.
Glasgow morning, breaking dawn, tomcats crying, curtains drawn, first alarm, then radio, catch our dreams and let them go, let them go, and tell them no. These are our neighbors, our friends, so let them go, let them go. Stop the order and tell them no. Change and grow. We stand together, our neighbors, so let them go. Angry voices break the hush, cries for help, pull and push. They start the engine, we say no. These are our neighbors, let them go, let them go. And tell them no. These are our neighbors, friends, so let them go, let them go. Stop the order and tell them no. Change and grow. We stand together, our neighbors, so let them go. So 100 neighbors take up the shout. Nothing comes in, nothing goes out. And 1,000 friends from miles around. They're all our neighbors, they won't back down. Let them go and tell them no. These are our neighbors, friends, so let them go, let them go. Stop the order and tell them no. Change and grow. We stand together, our neighbors, so let them go. Everything is connected, the whole wide world around. This song surrounds hostility and smothers it with sound. Everything is connected, the whole wide world around. This song surrounds hostility and smothers it with sound. Disrupt the order. Everything is connected. Tell them the whole wide world around. This song surrounds hostility, so let them go. Smothers it with sound. Disrupt the order. Everything is connected. Tell them the whole wide world around. They are our neighbors, so let them go. Smothers it with sound. Disrupt the order. Everything is connected. Tell them the whole wide world around. They are our neighbors, so let them go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next song is called Hope, and it's inspired by the writing of Rebecca Solnit, who many years ago wrote a book called Hope in the Dark Times. And we feel like those dark times have come round again, possibly even worse. But the stories that we've been singing about tonight and this song this evening, this song now, is part of what we're holding on to in terms of hope for the future.
No. 1, 2, 3.
No
dark clouds are gathering, there's no need to despair. A history of victories is happening everywhere.
Hidden in the buster, planted in the past, the seeds of our utopias are growing in the cracks. We need a litany, a rosary, a shout, a chant, a melody for our hope. Act upon hope. Search out the openings, build castles in the air. Fill them up with the good stuff, with the things you wouldn't dare. Test out possibilities, keep an eye out for the gaps. When things are so uncertain, you can find some room to act. We need a litany, a rosary, a shout, a chant, a melody for our hope. Act upon hope. Hope. Act upon hope. Hope is a house that's standing after the hurricane. Hope is a crop we harvest after the pouring rain. Hope can be the mending after all the pain. Hope is feeling hopeless and then finding hope again. We need a litany, a rosary, a shout, a chant, a melody for our hope. Act upon hope.
Hope in the dark times.
Hope in the dark times.
Light in the dark times.
Light in the dark times.
Laughter in the dark times.
Laughter in the dark times.
Singing in the dark times.
Singing in the dark times. Singing in the dark times. Singing in the dark times. Singing in the dark times. Singing in the dark times. Singing in the dark times. Singing in the dark times. Singing in the dark times. Singing in the dark times. Singing.
Thank you very much. Oh yeah. Let's do this one.
Let's do this one. Yeah. Scientific studies have shown that this next song is like kryptonite to the likes of Suella Braverman and Priti Patel, and its effects are enhanced even more if you sing along with us. We know we can't hear you, but do sing along at home. We're watching. We will know. Well, we've come a long way for to find ourselves a home.
We've come a long way for to find ourselves a home. We've come a long way for to find ourselves a home. 'Cause we're citizens of the world. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more than welcome here. 'Cause we're citizens of the world.
Well, my mother and her mother and her mother before.
My mother and her mother and her mother before. My mother and her mother and her mother before. They were citizens of the world. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more than welcome here. 'Cause we're citizens of the world.
And here's a hand to help you all ashore.
Here's a hand to help you all ashore. Here's a hand to help you all ashore. 'Cause we're citizens of the world. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more than welcome here. 'Cause we're citizens of the world.
Well, our nation's roots spread wide and down.
Our nation's roots spread wide and down. Our nation's roots spread wide and down. 'Cause we're citizens of the world. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more than welcome here. 'Cause we're citizens of the world. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more than welcome here. And you're more
now it's time for the last song. And before we do this last song, can we just we're going to say a big thank you, everybody, for just for everybody turning up. I think that during lockdown, I kind of, you know, I grew weary of Zoom concerts, so it's really nice to be back doing one where it actually feels really nice, a really good thing to do. And thanks to all the other people that were singing as well, and thanks especially to Frankie for sorting it all out. So behind me, this is the last song, and it's kind of it's not about peace and war between nations. It's about peace and war between Lancashire and Yorkshire, actually. But what it is that during the Peterloo massacre 200 years ago, just after it happened, the villagers in a small village in Yorkshire called Skelmanthorpe, they can you see it on there? They decided that to show solidarity with the people of Manchester and the victims families, they would make a banner. So this is a facsimile, an actual size facsimile of that banner. We've taken some words from it to sing because, and they made this banner and they carried it over the Pennines. It took 2 or 3 days to get to Manchester to show solidarity with the people of Manchester. And for 200 years, this banner remained turning up at demonstrations like Chartist demonstrations up on the Pennines, up on Blackstone Edge, places like that. And at one point, it had to be buried in a garden because the police were coming around looking for it. So, yeah, this is a song about a flag. The Skelmanthorpe flag. It's called the Skelmanthorpe flag song. I'm just trying to... Right, the one last little thing. May never a cock in England crow, nor never a pipe in Scotland blow, nor never a harp in Ireland play till liberty regains her sway. Which is beautiful, but unfortunately doesn't mention Wales. Somebody always says, hey, you didn't mention Wales in that song, but we've been faithful to the banner in this instance. So thanks, everyone. This is the Skelmanthorpe flag song. May never, 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 1, 2, 3.
May never a cock in England crow, never a pipe in Scotland blow, never a harp in Ireland play, till liberty regains her sway.
Drawing the seams together, sewing a stitch in time,
a history passed from hand to crisscross England's spine. May never a cock in England crow, never a pipe in Scotland blow, never a harp in Ireland play, till liberty regains her sway.
pulled and pinned and gathered, tying up the threads,
a memory buried underground then carried overhead. May never a cock in England crow, never a pipe in Scotland blow, never a harp in Ireland play, till liberty regains her sway. Away to the bony spine of England, side by side, standing on the bridge at Windy Hill, side by side, boots are doing battle with the heather, side by side, hoods are pulled up tight against the chill, the clouds are sweeping over from the west, side by there's thunder in the east that sings a storm, side by whichever way we seem to be facing, side by both of them are looking like home. May never a cock in England crow, never a pipe in Scotland blow, never a harp in Ireland play, till liberty regains her sway. A world we hold in common, embroidered in the cloth, a union of red and white in words that suit us both. May never a cock in England crow, never a pipe in Scotland blow, never a harp in Ireland play, till liberty regains her sway. No more wars of the roses, no more brawl and scrap, no more fights for football's sake or boundaries on a map. May never a cock in England crow, never a pipe in Scotland blow, never a harp in Ireland play, till liberty regains her sway. Away to the rocks on the horizon, shelter from the rain.
Side by side.
Witness to the way the world is changing.
Side by
To watch us make the same mistakes again.
Make the same mistakes again.
Motorways and pylons bridge the Pennines.
Side by
We climb up from the villages and towns.
Side by
Our flags a patchwork vision of tomorrow.
Side by
To shout this rotten parliament down. Down. May never a cock in England crow, never a pipe in Scotland blow, never a harp in Ireland play, till liberty regains her sway. We've more in common, we've more in common, we've more in common than divides us. We've more in common, we've more in common, we've more in common than divides us. We've more in common, we've more in common, we've more in common, more in common than divides us. We've more in common, more in common, more in common than divides us. We've more in common, more in common, more in common than divides us. We've more in common, more in common, more in common than divides us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That was so heart and spirit lifting and voice lifting. It was an absolutely brilliant end to a wonderful and powerful and moving evening. So please, I mean, I know it's so sad that you can't hear us and see us all, but I'm sure everybody is as energized and grateful as I am for all of you have performed, the Commoners Choir, Davies and Daughters, Jim Woodland and Peggy Seeger. What a stunning evening. Thank you, and thank you all the performers for giving your time and your skill, and thank you to everybody who's come. We've had a big audience. I'd like to thank Yvonne Cheng, who is the MPD administrator, but it's Sue Ella, particularly, who is our techie host, who makes all and always to Sue. So now it's sadly time to say, I've mentioned. And thank you, Tony, for coming to tell us about MPD. And I hope we will go on collaborating with these such evenings, because though it would be lovely all to be in the same place, I doubt that we'd have the audience that we've had this evening. So goodbye and thank you to everyone. And take care, go well, sing well, and let's keep hoping. Oh, and yes, generous donations too. Darian tells me it's looking like we will have made a considerable amount of funding to help with the peace and disarmament movements. Good night.
Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all the performers. Thank you to everybody who came. Lovely to see you all. I'm going to unmute everyone so that you can all say thank you and goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely.
What a treat.
Bye bye. Bye bye.